Well, good morning, everybody. And first of all, I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you all have safe travels and get to spend some time with friends and family this weekend. I'm going to take off Thursday and Friday, so my next video content will come out on Monday. And during that time period, I just want to let you know the websites I maintain, they're all going to continue to run. So if you need access to this data, please be sure to use that. And you can find all the links to that in today's report. The map you've been looking at while I've been talking here is the last 7 days of total accumulated precipitation. So during that time period, we had some snow that came through the Rockies. We, of course, had the front that slid through that delivered the heavy lake effect snow that we saw around the Great Lakes. And, of course, we had at the bottom of that trough just heavy rains coming out of parts of Texas over into Florida. But I like to look at the progression of these maps. So this is the last 7 days. Let's add another week onto that and look at the last 14. Now, that includes the blizzard that hit Montana and North Dakota that stretched into almost the Great Lakes here. It also includes the very heavy rainfall the week before that hit Florida, and some of this is actually from Nicole. Remember, that was back on November the 7th. We can go back even further, and this is looking at the last 30 days. And I also want to show you the last 60. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because in today's report, we kind of talk about the issues, the long-standing drought issues that have been a part of the Central Plains. And there are places in the plains here that haven't measured precipitation in 60 days. Some of these darkest shades in through here are some of the driest locations. And this is just going to continue to be a major problem as we go forward. I thought it'd be interesting to also just show you up to this point in November what the precipitation ranks by climate district look like. So just notice there are places in through here that are having their top 10, even up to top 5 driest years on record, kind of stretching right in through this area. We talked a lot about summer ridging that hit this place. Remember, we had our winter drought that built into this, that when we missed all the spring rains through parts of this area also continued to cause problems. Of course, in California, some recent precipitation has brought them down from having their driest year on record to now their second driest. But we need to be watching how the pattern evolves over the coming days and weeks to deliver moisture to these places that desperately need it. All right. So to get things started, this is at least the next 7 days. And unfortunately, for the Central Plains, I don't have much good news. The pattern just continues to avoid that particular region. What we're watching today is there is a low that's moving out of the Rockies. It's going to set up right down here over Texas where it'll become cut off from the main flow. So it's going to sit there for a while heavier rain spreads out ahead of it. That low will then move, you'll see in a few moments, toward the northeast later this weekend, while another big system comes down almost straight north out of the Gulf of Alaska. And I'm going to have to watch that one carefully as it comes into California and then eventually ejects over into the plains. That might be the next chance that we get for delivering some snow, but also maybe some precipitation here to the plains. We'll come back to that in a second. So that's your kind of bigger picture, next week's worth of total precipitation here. Good news is you put down this much moisture over the lower Mississippi River Valley. This is going to benefit the very dry areas in through here and also help bring up the river levels. So we'll take a good look at that next week. But here's the setup. By tomorrow, we have a highly amplified pattern where the main branch of the jet stream runs over the top like this, while we have this cutoff low that sits here completely closed. Now, what's interesting about this is going to trap quite a bit of cold air into it. While more mild air, today, Thanksgiving, Friday, will spread to the north of this, but it will be cold enough for snow in parts of the Panhandle of Texas. Now, there is a subtropical ridge that's sitting here, and what's interesting to see about that is if I step you down in the atmosphere to the 850 millibar level, that's about a mile above our heads, you can see how we're developing what we call a deformation zone. So see how the flow is doing this? What happens is you get a front that extends right here where I'm drawing this last arrow. It's going to be fed on quite a bit of moisture, which means before this deep low, which is going to have a lot of cold air on the back side of it, before it ejects, there'll be some heavy rain that's out ahead of this. So let's go have a look at what this all looks like by looking first at the upper level kind of spin in the atmosphere. This is the trough we're watching right here today. It dives down over Texas. Now, when I say it gets cut off, do you see we have these closed isobars? Or really, these are iso heights, but they're synonymous with isobars. It just depends on whether you're looking at a constant pressure map or a constant height map. So this is a constant pressure map, so they're iso heights. Regardless, the flow is stuck. It goes over the top like this, and we have the moisture spreading out ahead of it. Now, when does that low eject? Well, not through Friday. It won't be until Saturday midday that it moves over Oklahoma and then starts to spread over into the Ohio River Valley. That's when the rain gets to this part of the country. Now, ahead of that, the atmosphere just bypasses it. See this trough here going through the Great Lakes? On Thanksgiving, getting into Friday, that's going to sweep some moisture into New England right up here. So we'll watch for that as well. Now, it's behind this right there. That's the one I'm really watching for next week, because this is coming over a huge ridge in the Gulf of Alaska, and it's going to dive straight to the south. See that? And as it dives Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it could have a bit of a positive tilt to it. And a positive tilt to a trough, that's where the trough kind of leans this direction as you go north, means that it will dig. And by digging and eventually ejecting here over the southern plains, this is the one that might provide some lift after putting down snow in the Sierra Nevada, through the Cascades, coming over the Intermountain West where it's going to deliver a lot of cold air and snow. It might potentially return some moisture here about a week from when I'm recording this in the central plains of the United States. And that system wraps out quickly toward the eastern Great Lakes. And it would appear in the operational models we're not yet done with these systems coming out of the Gulf of Alaska. So let's translate all that into a surface map of precipitation intensity. So this was early this morning. Here comes the snow spreading along the Rockies. We have winter weather advisories out there. We've now seen the National Weather Service use a winter storm watch for parts of the panhandle of Texas. So again, this is the time when the cutoff low sets up and the flow comes out of it into that deformation band. So watch the heavier rain spread here. Don't forget, we have this little weak wave that's moving toward the Great Lakes and through New England. So there it goes, while this low sits here and spins. So see all the heavy rain out ahead of this? This is Thursday night into Friday morning. This is where we expect the heavy snow in parts of New Mexico, but really between Amarillo and Lubbock, right in through here. So we can watch this on Friday midday, Friday evening, Friday night into Saturday morning, and it's still there, and then finally ejects. See that? That's Saturday morning to Sunday morning from Texas into the Ohio River Valley. Now, we could be on the lookout for some stronger storms out of this over the lower Mississippi River Valley and southeast. Well, that low then pulls through the very dry regions here, brings in some very strong winds on its backside, and moves right on out to parts of New England. Look at the snow in parts of Ontario and Quebec out of this. While that's all going on, here's number 2, the second one, and it's diving into the northwest. And as you see here, possibly spreading quite a bit of snow Monday and Tuesday in the Cascades, the Sierra Nevadas, and the Central Rockies. Now remember, the positive tilt on this trough means it's going to eject right here. We're going to watch out for storms in the Mid-South down to the Gulf Coast here, and the potential on the backside of this one for some snow right in through there. And that system pulls through the eastern Corn Belt by next Wednesday. And I got to stop it here because there's just too much uncertainty beyond this point. All right, that's what we're looking at. Let's at least go look at that snow. And I'm just going to take you out through the next 5 days. Let's stop it right about here. So most of that system, the shortwave coming over the Great Lakes, hits parts of Quebec. We have the low that sneaks down today, sets up here. Heaviest snow is possible. There may be some places that pick up 7 or 8 inches out of this. And then we're watching the next system just beginning here. Now, I did grab a map from the HPC, or WPC, excuse me. Again, looking at the best probability of at least 4 inches of snow right in through here. So this is where I'm expecting the heaviest snow to be. There'll be a wider area of 1 to 3 inches around this, but that's where we're keeping an eye out for the heaviest snow. Now from here, where is this pattern going? Well, like we discussed on Monday night, the jet fails to extend. So it breaks into a ridge over Alaska, splits south, and then comes back together into this newly forming broader trough over the beginning of December. Now, there's a lot of folks who are going to try to link this to the polar vortex, the stratospheric polar vortex. I don't see that strong of a link. What I see here is just a lot of cold air building up into Western Canada that's going to get let out. And as that happens, we will see deeper troughs setting up here early next week with a big ridge into Alaska. That's going to reinforce quite a bit of colder air. So what will eventually occur is this is going to get displaced just like the last event, and then it's going to spread. See that? Spreading here over the eastern Canadian prairie, the northern plains of the United States, the Great Lakes, and east. So what that does is we have the main system that you saw sneaks down like this and ejects. That's what a lot of this precipitation is from. That's that system next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But behind that, quite a bit of cold air is coming in. So that's your week 2 forecast. Let's take a look at these temperatures. Here's Wednesday's highs, very mild for travel in the midsection of the country compared to normal. Thursday, this is when the deep trough begins to set up. So you know how I told you, the flow goes over the top while the cutoff low spins. So there's actually more mild air in the northern plains than there will be down in the southern plains because of that cutoff low. So by Saturday, Getting into Sunday, that's when the low begins to move toward the Ohio River Valley. And then what we're going to watch is next week for the cold air to start to come in. This is why the new day 5 through 10 and day 10 through 15 shows that cold air getting let out toward the eastern part of the United States as we get into that first week of December. December has multiple chances of seeing this happen again and again. All right. Arctic high pressure influences colder outbreaks across North America. I'm watching Europe as well for this. Finally, I want to show you the 10-day outlook for South America. We've seen the models all week long stress and continue to reinforce drier conditions in parts of Mato Grosso do Sul into southern Brazil, getting into Paraguay and most of Argentina. And this is going to continue to be an issue, especially in Argentina and Paraguay and southern Brazil. But the longer range models want to fill this in with better rains going forward into the month of December. If those fail to materialize, we could start to have a conversation about some pullback on total production out of Brazil. I don't think that's going to be the case, but we just have to watch for those rains to pull back. All right, travel safe, have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Thank you.